Welcome to the best gambling show on the internet. This is the home of the money pick. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. How is everyone doing tonight? Week 17. And just to go on, I haven't been as active on YouTube this week. I did all my videos. I haven't been in the comment section too much. I've been under the weather this week, feeling better now. I'm ready to get the money. I mean, week 17 is going to be a complicated week. There's no doubt about it. I got to be honest. On Patreon, I'm probably going with 2 or 3 teasers. Just throwing that out there right now. There are some single games to bet, but there is a little bit of worry about motivation going into this week. We'll talk about it. We got some good games on the table. We got some not so good games on the table. Good to see all you guys. What's up, Jack? What's up, Great Value Skills? What's up, Avon? Avon Fettydale says Titans over 10 first half total. Yeah, I didn't see. I'm not really one to bet Josh Dobbs, but we'll see. Are you talking next week? Because that game was yesterday. What's up, Sticks? Yeah, man. Thank you, man. Feeling better, man. Feeling better. I hope everything's good. Yeah, dude. Tough time this season. We're waiting for the playoffs. I'm excited about this week, as I am every week. But I gotta tell you what. After watching Tua throw 3 straight interceptions on 3 straight drives, I got to be honest, my motivation for the NFL is limited. Premier League soccer picks, they'll be up on Patreon. Might have one this week. We'll definitely be targeting a full slate for next week. So we'll get those in along with the other picks. So we'll have something else to bet. I've been watching a lot of that, catching up so we can get that money. Mike Stacks, what's up? Yeah, buddy, Lawson. I'm on the Bills large. Bad spot for Cincinnati. Almost lost to Tampa Bay down at half and came back to win, killing Pats, then almost blew a lead. I got to tell you what, man. We had big money on that Bengals game against the Pats last week, and a small part of me died watching the Bengals almost choke away that lead, especially when Matt Jones hit that Hail Mary where the Patriots receivers just volleyball batted it back to Jacoby Myers for the touchdown. A small part of me died. I don't think I've had a year where my stress level is at this point. And, you know, we're going to sweat when we bet. That's part of it, especially when you bet like Cincinnati minus 3.5. At the New England Patriots. But the way we were dealt with to sweat that game was absolute insanity. I do kind of agree with your point. I'm at just stay away mode on that Bills-Bengals game because the Bills aren't any I would say the Bengals are actually playing better than the Bills. I don't think the Bills running it up the middle for 3 or 4 big plays against the Bears solves my questions about them. Felipe, what's up, Felipe? How do you feel about your Vikings this week? I love the Vikings this week with the plus 3.5. I mean, we've seen it go back and forth, but you're going to be able to get it at 3.5 because it's at plus 3 on a lot of books now, but it's plus 100, minus 105. Plus 3.5 seems like the pick. I've seen it at minus 110 everywhere. I'm just not high on the Packers. I haven't been this whole year, and I'm not going to sit here and get excited about Tua getting concussions and then throwing 3 straight interceptions. I just don't think the Packers are a good football team at all. And the Vikings actually do have a lot to play for. So I was thinking about this today. Hear me out. Hear me out on this. Now, we know the Vikings going into the playoffs. The Eagles are obviously a lot better than them. The Cowboys are a lot better than them. And as a Vikings fan, it hurts me to say this, but a 49ers team led by Brock Purdy is better than them. So the Vikings aren't out of that first place battle yet. If the Eagles slip up against the Saints or in the last week of the season, Vikings can come in and steal it. But it's also very important the Vikings continue winning due to the fact that they'll get San Francisco at home. If they finish above San Fran, we know once San Fran comes in the playoffs, probably after that first round, they'll get San Fran at home. At least that gives them a puncher's chance so they don't have to go to the Bay Area and get absolutely butt rammed again. Or if you remember how that went last time they played in the playoffs there. But I'm looking at the Packers. Packers still haven't solved some of my problems. Christian Watson banged up. He's the only one who creates any space for Aaron Rodgers. Secondly, Minnesota, they can't stop anyone when you're throwing the ball. I'm not sure the Packers are going to throw it for 350 like the rest of these teams do on the Vikings. That's just not the Packers' game. Third, and probably most important issue, this Packers defense is vulnerable. They're not good against the run. I think the Vikings will get the run game going. Vikings haven't been running it all that well this year, but it seems like everyone who plays the Packers gets the run game going. I think Dalvin Cook has a big day. Here we go. Okay. Minnesota's 28 to 1 to win the Super Bowl. I wouldn't bet it. I would not bet it. But the Vikings always have a puncher's chance. I always think the Vikings have a puncher's chance. Don't think they can beat the Cowboys or Eagles, though. I do think they can match up decent if they get the 49ers at home. That's why I think that Packers game is so important. Steven Martinez, John, do you like the Steelers +3? I picked the Ravens, but as this week goes on, I'm thinking more about the Steelers. I wouldn't bet this game. For me, I think the Steelers is a perfect teaser leg. I think the over-under is 35, 36. Someone come in and correct me if I'm wrong. I just think it's perfect for a teaser leg this week. I don't want to touch that game in any shape or form. I do think people are getting a little bit too, how can I say this, exuberant about the Steelers. Ever since we hit the Steelers at Carolina, everyone's getting really, really excited about them. And I get excited about Mike Tomlin. I'm happy Pickett's back. But that team is extremely limited still. I don't think I would bet my hard-earned money on it. On a teaser leg, they will be one of my teaser legs this week, though. So I will be betting them because I don't see how that game is anything more than a one-score game. Darwin Phillips, what's up, Mr. Phillips? Can Panthers actually beat Buccaneers? I think so. Unless it's smoke and mirrors. Listen, so let's go back to last week. And let's talk about what happened in that Lions-Panthers game. Panthers ran the ball for over 300 yards. I don't think I'm exaggerating. I watched the first 3 quarters of that game. Absolutely sickening performance by Aaron Glenn's defense on Detroit. Here's what's the issue with Detroit that game. Carolina was in like 3 wide receiver set, 1 tight end the whole game. And then the Lions kept trying to play soft fronts with only 6 men in the box. And the Panthers just keep pounding them. Panthers didn't throw it at all in the first half. They made like 6 or 7 completions for absolutely nothing. Lions just stood back with 6 people in the box and let themselves get absolutely pummeled. Buccaneers aren't going to do that. But I got to tell you, this Buccaneers offense is terrible. I think the Panthers will run the ball better than the Buccaneers. That's why I say it's definitely possible the Panthers beat them. And one thing I was surprised about, we saw this line open at 4 points. And, that sounded that sounded a little bit, I thought this is a 3-point game. So when I go to Tuesday, obviously it moves down to 3 points. And then when I checked it before the show, we're at Carolina +4. I don't know how it got to that point. There's been a lot of weird line movement this year, but if you're asking me to pick a side with the point spread, I'm taking the +4. And I don't know how long you've been watching the show, but I've been saying for the last 10 weeks, I just can't imagine how the Buccaneers can win a game by more than 3 points. That's where we're at, man. Conche, Lawson, Seahawks, high or low, brother? I'm not high on the Seahawks this week. Like, I see the danger of the game. I see the danger of the game. Like, I don't think the Jets are going to come in here and win easy. But I'm not all that high on the Seahawks. I do think they lose this game to the Jets. I mean, it's going to be a tight game. I do think Mike White makes a huge difference, though, man. I think Mike White's going to help the Jets a lot. I think the Jets play better defense. And this Tyler Lockett injury, I've been on here complaining about it for the last 3 weeks. I don't know if the Seahawks offense can function without him. Let me check that injury report. I saw it earlier today, but they're West Coast. So let's see if we got a Tyler Lockett update. Yeah, just a limited in practice Thursday. I heard he might play. They're going to need Lockett to play. Here we go. Okay. Yeah, I mean, Carolina money line's not that bad a play. It's not that bad a play. I wouldn't smug my nose at it. I'm going to get to the Patreon questions. Okay, let's go. Thank you, everyone, for supporting on Patreon. Deep into week 17. Okay, let me get to the first one. Let me just. Warren Flowers did well teasing the Titans in the overs last night, half unit. Yeah, dude, Warren, teasers are legit. And last week I had a teaser on Patreon and people were complaining about it. I mean, they've been money the whole year. And there's no other way you could have bet that Bucs-Cardinals game. I mean, of course, you could have picked the Niners -7 against Commanders, but that was why last week I just went Niners on the teaser with the Buccaneers, although that one was an absolute sweater, man. Hi, Lawson. And this is from Nicholas Vincent. Hi, Lawson. Thanks for all the great picks. I was wondering what your favorite 2-team teaser is for this week. Thanks. Money, money, money. What's up, Nick? Let me type it to you because it's one I'm going to be posting. There we go. Send it to you, my man. DeAndre Pittman, teach us about value and key numbers and why they are important. Okay. Well, let me start with teasers. With teasers, there's a method called the Wong method. So let me spell it out for you, ma'am. Let me spell it out for you. So when you do a teaser, you want to look for the key numbers. Of course, a key number is 3. A key number is 7. You want to avoid those numbers. So when you look at a teaser, I don't like taking favorites on teasers because I don't think you get the value. And if you look at the mathematical structure of it, it doesn't work. I'm not going to go into the math, but you can just trust me on it. So that's why when I do a teaser, I try to do one like -6 down to a pick 'em, -7 down to -1. You see what I'm doing there? I'm avoiding the 3 points. And then let me just give you for betting the spread. When you got a hook, it's really, really powerful. I remember a statistic. I don't know if it's held up, but 70 to 75% of games in the NFL are decided by 4 points or less. And then we know how many games are decided by 3 points. That's why whenever I get a -3.5, I do urge you guys to buy a point down. So those are key numbers. And we have to remember that games also end with 7 points a lot. Like a team will win 28-21, 27-20. That comes up a lot. So you want to try to avoid those key numbers if you're going to avoid a push. You see what I'm saying? That's why I hate spreads like +7.5. -7.5, -3.5. That's why I try to avoid them like the plague. Now, will I bet them? I bet the Bengals last week because I thought they could win the game by 30 points. They probably should have won it by 30 points, but obviously didn't go that way. So that's just a quick little roundup. I could give you more information on it. Kun Shea with the $10 super chat. I appreciate it, my guy. I appreciate it, man. Happy New Year to you. Hope you have some fun this weekend. Okay. This is from Leno Frosto. If you got Virginia McCaskey knocked up and she handed you Papa Bear's fedora, what would you first do to fix the Bears short and long term? Also, hit the goddamn like button and subscribe, share the video. Thank you. Best gambling show this side of Mississippi. Appreciate it. Here's what I would do with the Bears. I'm not really sold on Eberflus, but I guess you have to keep him. The thing I would do with the Bears is I would make sure I get 2 wide receivers for Justin Fields. I would get one veteran who's at least a top 20 receiver in the league, and then I would draft a receiver within the first 2 rounds. I would also make sure they add offensive line help and then add 1 defensive lineman. And that's what I would initially do. And I would also do the new stadium they're talking about. I think that new stadium would help a lot. I love Soldier Field, but listen, it's outdated. The area isn't good for generating revenue. Those would be my quick things. But one of the things that really pissed me off about Chicago going into this year, man, was the lack of weapons around Justin Fields. I was saying all preseason, I felt like he had the least amount of offensive weapons in the league. And I don't think I was too wrong about that. I'm surprised they were able to run the ball so well this year with how bad that offensive line and receiving core was. Like, there's no one scared of that receiving core. At least they added Claypool and Mooney. At least that helps a little bit. We'll see, Bo. We'll see what they do about Brady this week. Because I was talking about that Panthers game earlier. I just want everyone to have a little bit of caution with it. Because we know the NFL wants Brady in. And I got to tell you what, though, I think Brady, I don't think he's done. My prediction is he goes to San Fran next year. But what I saw out of that Arizona game, I'm scared. That was the worst I've ever seen Brady. I got to be honest. I think like 70% of the bets were on the Panthers. And then instead of like moving down, it moves up the Panthers +4. Chief, when I picked the Niners, I got him on Tuesday when I picked him, I got him at like -6.5 against the Raiders, less than a touchdown. I think it might have been -5. Now at -10, it's just not as sexy, even though Jared Stidham sucks. And it does seem like the Raiders are completely imploding. Okay, here we go. Let's get to the next Patreon question. This is from Derek. Hi, John. What do you think of this 7-point teaser? If you had to take one game off, which would it be? KC -5.5. Philadelphia +0.5 point. San Fran -2.5. Chargers. Okay. Derek. That Buffalo at +6. It makes sense because that's probably going to be a 1-score game. But what if Cincy wins by a touchdown? Like, it's conceivable Cincinnati could win that game by a touchdown. I would take that off. That would be the game I take off. The rest are good. And I would suggest adding maybe the Browns or Steelers to that list to get you better value, especially in those games because it's going to be low scoring. Clara says she would remove KC on Patreon. Yeah, the KC one, I think they win by a touchdown. This is from Daniel. Hey, man, Happy New Year. Happy New Year's, Daniel. Hope you have a great New Year's night, my man. Last night, my sports book gave me a risk-free bet up to $50, so I took a gamble on the Titans plus 975. Well, since I lost, I have a $50 token I want to put on Texans, Jets, and Packers. I know you hate parlays, but I'm really confident that 2 of those 3 will win. Which 2 would you feel good about? No risk, no reward. Let's get this money. Jets, Texans. The Packers, I don't like the Packers with the spread, but I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility the Packers beat the Vikings. I really like the Vikings with the plus 3.5, Dan. But that's not your question. I would go Texans and Jets because like I was saying all week, and some people didn't seem to understand me on the Tuesday video, I wasn't trying to like shit on the week and get people down and out about the week and not excited. Like, listen, it's football. You should be excited. Remember when you don't have football. But I was saying this Jags-Texans game means absolutely nothing to the Jaguars. I think if the Jags win it and makes their chance of making the playoffs like 2.5% better, I mean, so there's very little to play for with the Jags. My worry is for the people who are betting the Jags. You know, Doug Peterson benches the starters in the 3rd and 4th quarter, and we know the Texans have been pesky and they're staying in games. I'll go Texans and the Jets on that one. Plus, the Texans are going to get some pretty good odds. That's got to be at least plus 195. I do like the Jags first half. I saw the Jags first half was at -2, -1.5 on a lot of books. That was really interesting. What's up, Kyle Canterbury? What's up, Lauren Kaiser? What's up, A55? You think the Bengals got this W? I honestly, I'm picking the Bengals. I'm not betting it, though. There's not a lot of confidence there. There isn't a lot of confidence. I'm just wondering what Bills team we see. Because even though the Bengals, like, listen, they looked pretty bad in that second half against the Patriots. They looked pretty bad against the first half against the Bucs. I could point to 6-7 instances where the Bills were absolute garbage this year. And I'm not so sure the Bills running the ball good against the Bears and putting points up on the Bears against one of the worst defenses in the league solves my issues. That's where I'm at. So, J-Sep, what's up, my man? What's up, J-Sep? Hope you're doing good, my man. Jags first half, what do you think about that? What do you think about Jags first half? Have we gotten any news on that Jags-Texans game? Because I was looking today, they're not giving out any hints on it. And thank you for the question on Patreon, Dan. Clark and 4 kicks. Do we like the Bengals this week? I like the Bengals, but I'm not betting them. I'm not betting that game. I want to bet the game. It's on Monday night. Let's see how the weekend plays out. Let's see how the weekend plays out because there is a prop I'm targeting for that game that I'm going to post on Patreon. Just want to see how the weekend plays out because, there are some issues of motivation maybe with the Bengals and how many games can they win in a row. I mean, that's really the only thing stopping me from it. But if we're just talking like football, who's playing better, who the matchups favor, I would say the Bengals. But we know in this league that hasn't mattered that much this year. It just hasn't mattered. There's just not a lot of consistent play. And that's been an issue the whole year. Okay. Okay, here we this Christopher Bench guy is crazy, man. This Christopher Bench guy is crazy. All right. I, I never said anything like that. Yeah, man. J-Sop, I'm with you. It's just that's one I told everyone on Tuesday. I just want everyone to stay away from. Although that Jags first half started to call out as it got lower and lower. Holly Rodriguez says this week makes me nervous. I agree. I'll be honest, my bets are going to be teasers. There is one I'm throwing up on Patreon, normal points, but the rest are going to be two team, 16 teasers, minus 110, minus 120. I'm not playing around with this week. Yeah, I don't know if Lovie Smith being 3-0 against the Jags like sways anything. I don't know if that sways anything. I remember when everyone was on the Jags -7 and the Texans went in week 4, week 5 and beat them like 13-6. One of the ugliest games of this NFL season. Daniel, since the Jags will probably also bench the starters because next week game versus Titans is all that matters. Winner wins divisional playoffs. Shouldn't we all like the Texans to win? Borderline college fun game because Texans are playing hard lately. Um, I'd caution you on that, but I do get the methodology because I do think the Jags will have the starters out by the second half. I do see that. Yeah, Joel, of course the Steelers have a chance to win straight up. Like, I think that is the best line Vegas made all week. Like, for me, that's a 3-point game either way. With Tyler Huntley at quarterback, there isn't a difference between those two teams. There isn't. And what's up, Jared? Thank you. Okay, here we go. Don Parrish. What's up, Don? Happy holidays, Lawson. Do you think Brady bets against himself to get back his FTX losses? Man, remember when I told you guys last year? It was around this time. It was on the Live Collins show. It was after I just bought this apartment. You remember when I told you guys what Henry Ford said? When the boy who's like bringing you your paper or shining your shoes is giving you stock advice or investment advice, that's when it's time to sell. Oh boy, was that ever true. Once I saw Tracy Morgan and who else? Once I saw like Jennifer Lopez, once I saw all these famous people doing commercials for Bitcoin, I sold. I sold as fast as you could, and I got out of it. Yeah, man. I don't think Brady would do anything dirty. I think he's financially secure. But he should have never been involved in a business like that. That's easy for me to say because if that guy called me up and wanted me to do a commercial, I would probably have to take the money, right? I would probably have to take the money. But yeah, man, I don't think Brady lost that much on it. I think he only gained from it. But Don, I do think they'll come after some of the athletes who endorsed it. I mean, we saw a lot of people were coming at Trevor Lawrence about that FTX stuff. I guess he was invested in it. Yeah. Happy New Year, Don. Robert Stanley. Hey, Lawson, hope you have a happy New Year's. I hope you do too, Rob. My question is about Russ and the Broncos. I'm in a Yahoo pool and the line is at +10. Those bastards, man. Would you still take the Broncos with that line? Also, the Jags line is -6. Would you stick with them to cover or take the Texans? Thanks again for all the money picks. What's up, Rob? Rob, Wow. Give me the Chiefs with the 10. I think the Chiefs cover that. And then if the Jags are laying 6 to the Texans, that's way too much. That's way too much. Jags were even a questionable cover with me at -4 when we were looking at the aspects going into that game. Yeah, man. Give me Texans to cover the +6, Chiefs to cover the -10. I mean, not all that confident in that Chiefs one because we know they dilly-dally with games and we know Russ Wilson's terrible. Stephen Laidlaw. Do you consider the Jets the best bet on the slate? Second best, probably. When I look at this slate of some games, you have to question how many backdoor covers. Oh, do you, my friend? Oh, do you? Oh, do you? Yeah, exactly. This week, I gotta tell you, man. Yes, Larry. Larry. I'm just betting teasers this week. I only have one regular bet this week. I'm going full teasers this week. The teaser record's been good this year. They've been a little bit sweaty, but I'm just rolling with it this week. Because the question kind of rolls into what we're talking about with the teasers. I mean, backdoor covers abound, and then you got games like the Ravens Steelers. Everyone wants to bet this Ravens Steelers game, but I'm just saying, like, did Vegas make a mistake with this line? Aren't we supposed to be looking for mistakes in lines, or we're just like betting one side of the coin? Like, for me, like, there's not a lot of difference between the Ravens and Steelers +3. I felt like the time to really pounce on that matchup was when we hit it earlier with Ravens +2.5 early in the year. Yeah, man. Let me get back to your question because I got fucking sidetracked. Yeah, I would say it's the second best. Let me type my favorite. Okay, here we go. Moneyline Repo. Lawson, Happy New Year, big bro. Let's start it off eating good. I don't think the Bucs should be favored -3 over anybody at this point. I think it'll be a 3-point game if they do win. But I said the same thing last week. I had the Lions +10.5 when they were -3, but that wasn't enough. Okay. Can the Panthers cover my +10.5, or is this a stay away? Stay away. Money line. I got some good teasers coming this week. But if you wanted to tease the Panthers out, I would not be opposed to it because they're +4 right now. You do a 6 or 17-point teaser, you get down to 10, 11. That makes sense to me. And can the Bucs beat anyone by more than 3 points? We've been asking this question for 8 weeks. And besides that win against the Seahawks, it doesn't seem like they can. It just doesn't seem like they can. I mean, that's where I'm at. And money line, with that Lions game last week, listen, that was a fucking gut punch, bro. It was a gut punch. And I'll be real, man. That game took a lot out of me this week. And listen, it's betting. I was 3-3 on Patreon. Even week. 4-1 the week before. But I'll tell you what, man. That Lions game was just such a gut punch. And then us getting tortured with our Bengals pick. And then with, how bad the Titans were. It was like a really tough weekend, man. It was actually one where I'd say it was like tough psychologically on me. But at the end of the day, it is called gambling. And sometimes teams just aren't going to show up. And here's why I was really bothered. Here's why I was really bothered by that Lions-Panthers game, man. Because, listen, I've been playing football my whole life, been watching football since I was 5 or 6 years old. And The Lions were in a nickel defense. Safeties were pushed all the way fucking back. Corners pushed all the way back. 2 linebackers, 4 down linemen. And the Panthers kept running the ball. 7 yards a carry, 15 yards a carry. Sam Darnold with a quarterback draw, 10 yards a carry. The whole game, they did not bring a 7th guy down in the box. They did not ever bring an 8th man down in the box. They just sat with 6 men in the box against 7 blockers, and they thought they were going to stop the run. If you give us numbers on, like, for instance, if you give us numbers, 7 of us against 4 defensive players, we could even open up polls for running backs. It's a numbers game. It's a numbers game, and at a certain point, I just wanted to grab Aaron Glenn. It shouldn't have went down that way. It shouldn't have. And, you know, I love Dan Campbell. The man is a damn near inspiration. But we can't even blame Aaron Glenn at that point. Doesn't Dan Campbell have to see that? I mean, the man was a fucking NFL tight end for 12 years. Doesn't he know a soft run defense is set when he sees it? I mean, listen, I would yell at a Pop Warner coach if he couldn't make that adjustment. And I don't know why they got big with it. They've been using 8-man bear fronts the last 6 weeks before. They used like 8 men in the box 60% of the time against the Jets. And then I'm just like, okay, bro, like, I'm putting all this fucking work, and this dude's sitting back in a soft nickel, letting fucking the Carolina Panthers put up college football numbers on his ass. It's just, yeah, man. And Darnold did nothing. It was like they were afraid of Darnold throwing. Why keep 2 safeties back against Darnold? Anyways. Cosina 19, Cosina 17. What's up, Cosina? How you doing, my man? Thank you for the $10 donation. Lawson, I'll be betting my house on the Bengals Monday night. Is it too late to talk you out of it? Is it too late to maybe get you to put a big bet on a 2-team teaser and then you just bet a little bit on the Bengals game? Like, I think the Bengals win. But my point I just made kind of rolls back to this game. In a league where there's very little consistency. I remember last year I had like 8 straight weeks where I was like 8-7, 3-2 on money picks, 7-7, 2-1 on money picks, like for 7 straight weeks, and people would get frustrated because, you know, it was just like he's 50%. This year's completely inverse. Either you're like fucking 12-3, or you're like 5 and 10, 5 and 11. I say this to say this, my man. The Bengals have essentially showed up every single game for the past 8-9 weeks. Correct me if I'm wrong, someone in the chat. The Bengals have showed up and covered 7 straight weeks in a row, correct? And a league with such little consistency, don't you feel like you're testing your luck? And I don't like giving this advice. I wish we were talking about an X's and O's. I wish we were talking about the Bengals, how their secondary overperforms, how it looks like Sam Hubbard was going to play. I wish we were talking about X's and O's. But at this point, we just have to ask, is the team going to show up? Is the team going to show up? John Renfro, good. I wanted to get to this. How do you feel about the Arizona versus Atlanta game with David Blau starting for Arizona? I feel like Atlanta will win the game, and I feel like DeAndre Hopkins isn't going to play either. I'm sure once he saw it was going to be Blau or it was going to be McSorley, I think he said, I'm out of this. So yeah. I think Atlanta wins that game. Like I said on the video, if McCoy starts, give me the Cards to cover. If anyone else starts for the Cards, I think Falcons win. Oh, Rick, you'd be surprised. I don't know if you've been watching NFL this year. Like when the Packers beat the Cowboys, or or let me throw out another example. Oh, on Christmas Day, a quarterback comes out and throws 3 straight interceptions, 3 straight possessions with the playoffs on the line. It's just... That's the rumor. Okay, Kingsbury wanted McCoy and ownership stepped in is the rumor. So they're tanking. Looks like they're going to fire Cliff. I mean, when I did read the Colt McCoy concussion symptoms, I wasn't really buying it. But then I didn't make a big deal about it. Mario says Raiders plus 10. Now, Stidham didn't look bad in the preseason. He didn't look bad. Let's be honest about it. But he didn't look bad in the preseason with the Patriots before. And then we saw once he got on the field, it just was too much for him. I worry about the Raiders showing up that game. It seems like Devontae Adams wants to go home with Derek Carr. And to see Carr get did that way, it rubbed me the wrong way, man. It really rubbed me the wrong way. Okay, here we go. Sean Moore. Hey, Lawson, can we take a minute to look across the landscape of the AFC and figure out how the Pats are in position to control their own destiny into the playoffs? Sean, I was thinking about this week. I'm astonished that with such an anemic offense and average defense, Bill Hoodie Belichick managed to pull this off. My question is, does the Cinderella story end Sunday with a loss to Miami, or do they end it with Buffalo next week? What are the chances they beat both teams and stumble into the playoffs? I would say 10%. I would say 15, 20% chance. I think they win and cover against the Dolphins this week. On Tuesday before the show, I battled with it all day. I wanted to get up there and say Dolphins are going to win and cover against the Patriots. And it seems like every time we fade the Patriots, the sharps bet the Patriots, we win the money, they lose the money. I was hoping it would be one of those situations. But I got to back the Patriots in this Dolphins game. It's going to be a tough game for them to win, but I think you're 100% right. Firstly, I think everyone overrates this Patriots defense. We haven't fell into that. That's why we haven't lost money involving Patriots games this year. But a lot of people fall into that trap of how good the defense is. Secondly, this is a bottom 5 offense in the league. They just haven't ran the ball at all the last 6-7 weeks. Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe they ran it good against the Raiders. The rest of the time, they haven't got a run game going. Secondly, everyone wants to blame Matt Jones. I think this is more about Matt Patricia. I think it's more about scheme. I think it's more about coaching. And Buffalo probably will have something to play for next week. So like I said, the chances are really low, 10, 15%. And you know what? It's ironic. Everyone's saying, oh, how strong the AFC is. Oh, this AFC is damn good top to bottom. 11 playoff teams. NFC has 4 playoff teams. I mean, if the Patriots get into the playoffs for the AFC, is that really that big an upgrade over like Tampa or Carolina, to be completely honest? Is it really? Okay, next Patreon questions. Mikhail, what's up, Mikhail? Hope everything's going good with you, man. Happy New Year's. Hey, brother, hope you're well. Hope your family is well. Let's get this money. I have one bet, one team. It's the Bengals at home against the Bills on Monday night. That's my stone cold lock. Both of these teams want this game because they both want number 1 seed, and the Bengals are a late season team, even a late team game. What do you say, like fine wine? What is the one bet you'd make this week if you only had one pick? I would go Vikings plus 3.5. But you're getting me, Mikhail, you're getting me pumped and juiced for that Bengals-Bills Monday night game. I mean, that's the game of the week, right? I mean, that game's going to be absolutely phenomenal. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Thank you for the question, Mikhail. Hey, yeah, man. I like your confidence. I like your gusto about the Bengals. I think matchup-wise, they look pretty good against the Bills. Like I've been saying all year, I'm not sold on this. I'm just not sold on a lot of the things I'm seeing from the Bills supporting cast. No Von Miller. I'm not happy about that. It seems like teams can run the ball on the Bills. You remember when they stuffed the Rams week 1, we all thought, oh, their run defense is going to be dominant. They're going to be dominant in the interior. No, not really. That's not how they were. And I also think they're extremely overrated on offense. I think the O-line's overrated. I think Josh Allen makes that O-line look better. I think Gabriel Davis is overrated. I think Isaiah McKenzie is an absolutely terrible slot receiver. That's why they had to go out and get Cole Beasley. I think there's a lot of problems on that offense that Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen cover up because they're almost not human because they're so good at football. I think the Bengals have the better overall team at this point. I wouldn't have said that earlier in the year, even though I was skeptical on the Bills the whole year. Robert Stanley, what changes, if any, do you have since Tuesday for your Vegas spread picks? One I announced was Falcons to win in a cover with this news about the Cardinals. The rest of them, I've stayed firm. I'm staying firm with the picks. I'm getting early line value on the Niners. I got early line value on the Cowboys last night. I think when I picked on Tuesday, I had the Cowboys at -8, -9. I mean, that's one reason why you should put your bets in early. Sometimes it comes back to backfire. Last week it backfired on me. A lot went and gets me, but normally as the year goes on, it works out your way. Let me think if I changed anything. No, not really. All the lines have kind of moved the way I like. For instance, when I picked the Panthers game, I think it was +3. It's at +4 right now. That Niners game, when I picked it, it was Niners -5. It's up to -9.5 now. I mean, that's almost unbettable at this point. Jets game hasn't moved. Colts game's moved like a half point, not enough to talk about. Broncos moved down because I got the Broncos at its highest at 13.5. It's at 13, 12.5 now. Got Bears, Detroit, that stayed the same. Yeah, man, that's about it. And if I had to cancel one game I picked, I would actually go Detroit to cover against the Bears, man. Okay. Who would you start at DB? Petrie, Chen, Harrison, Smith, Marcus Williams, Jesse Bates, Jair Alexander, or you have anyone else in mind? Okay, what, Zamora, are you looking for a touchdown or are you looking just for tackles? Do you want the safe bet? Because if I was going for tackles, I think I would go Chen or Petrie. If I wanted interception, I think I would go Harrison Smith. And thank you for the $5 donation, my friend. Thank you. I think you got a good list there. Just don't go Jair Alexander. He's up against Justin Jefferson. I don't think that's going to end well for him. Jesse Bates is facing the Bills. I know Josh Allen throws him up there, but I don't think that's worth it. Harrison Smith, he's playing the Packers. They don't throw it a lot, but Harrison Smith also plays a lot in the box, and the Packers run it a lot, so you could get some tackles. Petrie is just everywhere on the field. I'm glad to see him healthy again. I would probably go Chen and Petrie. If I had to choose between one of them, I would go Chen. He's been good this year, man. Okay. Yeah, it seems like everyone. Will go Chen. Okay, here we go. I don't. Okay, let's get to the next Patreon question. Slam that like button, share the videos. Appreciate all of you guys. Okay, let me get to Kyle Reynolds' question. Kyle Reynolds' question on Patreon. Holy cow. Okay. Lino Frosto, thanks for answering my Bears question. Anytime, my man. Brady or Rodgers go to Frisco? Brady. Also, who would be an ideal head coach with defense and offensive coordinator for my Bears? If I was hiring, well, offensive coordinator's tough because it seems like anytime we get a good offensive coordinator in this league, they churn into a head coach. Now, one offensive coordinator I respect. Let me find you one who you could actually hire. Let me think about that. For defensive coordinator, I would go dirty, man. I would go villain mask. I would get Greg Williams. If you guys remember him, he used to be the Bills head coach. He used to be the Saints defensive coordinator when they won a Super Bowl. He's still coaching in the XFL. His last job with the Jets was absolutely terrible, but Adam Gase was the head coach. I would go Greg Williams for defense. On offense, it's tough, man, because every single good offensive coordinator is a head coach. Every good offensive coordinator. I actually don't think your offensive coordinator, I'm blanking on his name, I don't think he's done that bad this year. I think we need to remember he's working with a terrible offensive line, and he's limited in what he can call, especially with the pass. I would actually keep that guy. I don't think the Bears have had too many problems with play design or anything like that. Okay, this is from Kyle Reynolds. I have a 10-point teaser for $9K as of now. San Fran pick'em. Chargers plus 3.5. Panthers plus 13. Chargers are my team, but do you think they slow down? No, I don't think they slow down. I can't get a read if Bosa is playing or not. My read was he's not playing. But Chargers are the only thing I'm worried about on this card because they already have a guaranteed playoff spot. And I love your going teasers this week. December football. Let's get the money. Let's get this money, Kyle. Chargers at plus 3.5. listen, I had the Rams to beat the Broncos last week, but I think people are overreacting about the Rams now. You'll be safe in that game, and I still think the Chargers have stuff to play for. I think it's completely rational to tease the Chargers. If you wanted to replace a team, I would maybe you could go with the Browns or the Steelers if you're really feeling nervous about the Chargers. But I feel good with that one. The Panthers plus 13 might worry me more because I think the Panthers cover with the 4, but we've seen some crazy stuff in Tom Brady involved games, and we've seen some crazy stuff in Tampa Bay Buccaneers games this year. That's just how it's been, man. So always be cautious with that. Kyle Reynolds, one more question. I want to slam another one. Bengals plus 11, Vikings plus 13.5, Eagles plus 3.5. Same thing here. Will the Vikings tank game? No. Kyle, right? Here's the Viking situation. Let me lay out the Viking situation to you. Yes, they have clinched the division. They've clinched their playoff spot. But currently they're ahead of the San Francisco 49ers. So what the Vikings want to do is they want to win. They want to put pressure on the Eagles for that number 1 spot. And they also want to finish ahead of the 49ers. If they finish ahead of the 49ers in the next round after they beat the wild card team, the 49ers will go to Minnesota instead of the Minnesota Vikings going to the 49ers. You see why the Vikings still need to fight for that, and they still can catch the Eagles. I don't think it's going to happen, but they're still alive. Eagles plus 3.5. I don't hate it. I just don't like going that way on teasers. And the Bengals plus 11 makes perfect sense to me. I think that's a 1-score game. And like for one of my ones to tease down, I have the Eagles as something that I'm interested in. I only use 6 points, so that's where I'm at. But Eagles should win the game now. Marcy, they can have Matt Canada. Pittsburgh getting ready to let him go finally. I love you, Lawson. Happy New Year. Happy New Year, Marcy. Yeah, Matt Canada. Oh, God. And you guys know I've defended Matt Canada a little bit this year. But, man, the guy is just beyond bad. And the Steelers' offensive line has actually gotten a little bit better this year. And Matt Canada can't really use that as an excuse, but the offense is still stagnant. There's lots of talk about the Steelers going to the playoffs today. Like, I don't know. I've kind of been keeping my head down this week. Haven't been listening to too much media. But did you guys see all the talk about Pittsburgh to the playoffs this week? Fast Danny, bets will be up on Patreon after the show. They'll be up right after the show. What's up, Campbell Jones? Yeah, JR, I'm worried about the Jags also pulling Lawrence on the starters in the second half. That's one thing that's bothering me. Stay away from the Vikings this week. I don't know. Why? It's not like they're playing the fucking 72 Dolphins. They're playing the Green Bay Packers, who won a game because a guy went out and threw 3 straight interceptions, 3 straight plays. Okay, here we go. Yeah, man. So... Okay, let's see if I got any more Patreon questions. Super chat from Zamora. Thank you, my man. Cashed in last year with the Rams Super Bowl future pick this year. I have Chargers winning it all and 49ers winning NFC. What are your thoughts? And Bosa is playing. both bosses. Listen. Chargers could make a run, but I don't know if they have the defensive dogs. Remember preseason when I remember talking to you preseason, we both, okay, it's just to respond to one thing. Vikings kind of do need to win. Vikings kind of do need to win, my man. Because if they go to San Fran, they're going to get beat by 30 points like they did the last time. The only way the Vikings have a shot against San Fran in the playoffs is if they get them in the Metrodome. Not the Metrodome, the new stadium, the new dome. That's the only way the Vikings have a chance to win. I mean, do you think the Vikings realistically have a chance to beat the 49ers in the Bay Area? I don't. I don't know if the Chargers have enough dogs. I really like the Chargers defense going into this season. And then we saw them get absolutely blitzkrieged with injuries. So I'm out on the Chargers for that. Especially when you got like teams like the Bengals, Bills, Chiefs in their way. Could be some other teams emerging in the AFC. But we'll see. Also, in the NFC side, I don't think you're wrong about the 49ers because what they're doing with Brock Purdy has been absolutely phenomenal. You take a guy who was drafted last pick of the NFL draft, and to see them be ripping through teams is absolutely impressive. It's absolutely impressive, man. And I've been shocked by it. But I've been saying going into the year, I think they have the best defensive line and defensive line depth in the league. And I think that makes a difference in the playoffs. And we haven't seen much out of Christian McCaffrey. We haven't seen him dazzle. But I do think he'll dazzle come playoff time. And it seems like Deebo Samuel is getting healthy at the right time. And let me get to criticism of a team I've liked the whole year, the Philadelphia Eagles. Philadelphia Eagles, they've been having trouble stopping the run, and I think they signed Linval Joseph. They signed Ndamukong Suh, and it doesn't seem like the run defense is getting better. And I'm a little bit worried about Hurts dropping back, throwing the football. You saw earlier in the year he was throwing with more confidence. Look at that Colts game, for instance. It's a long time ago, but in the 2-minute drill, it was Hurts running quarterback powers instead of him throwing Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. I mean, to beat the 49ers defense, you have to throw it from the pocket and you have to throw it consistently. You're not going to pound them. You're not going to run the ball on them. I would like someone to tell me which team in the first round of the playoffs the Vikings lose to. Like, do the Lions get them? Do the Commanders get them? Do the Giants get them? They're not playing the 49ers the first round, just to be clear to the chat. So that's where I'm at. I think 49ers can win the NFC. So that's where I'm at. Okay, here we go. Yeah, guys, I'm going to call it early night. I'll have viewers on next week. I'll have the bets up on Patreon. Hit the like button, share the videos. Thank you. Thank you for the super chat, Kyle. Thank you. $10 from Kyle. Happy New Year to you and your fam. Thanks for the analysis. Yes, I appreciate it, Kyle. I hope you have a great New Year too, my man. Teasers cashing hard this week. Money. Let's get it. Thank you for joining me. Share the videos. Slam that like button before we go. Next week, we'll have callers on again. I just had a quick night tonight. Lauren, Michael, I'll get you on next week. Happy New Year to both of you. Happy New Year to all of you guys. Hope you guys stay safe and everything goes good.